Hello everyone, and welcome to another Arthritis Help Movement Improvement session where you learn to move differently so you can feel better. I'm Dr. David Sofer, physical therapist, and today we're going to be talking about moving the spine. The spine moves in three different directions. We have bending, flexion, extension. We have side bending in each direction, and there's twisting, rotation. And it's important to be able to do all three of those things and even combine those motions in order to have a healthy, mobile, and comfortable spine. We're going to be spending the next 3 weeks focusing on each one of those movements specifically, and then working on some exercises to kind of put them all together. Today, we're going to be focusing on what we call sagittal plane movement, which is kind of bending and extending. For this set of exercises, all you need is a comfortable place to lay flat and a few minutes to spend some time inside your mind, inside your body, and feel yourself make changes. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start laying comfortably on your back. And you're just going to let your legs be straight and your arms comfortably at your sides. And you're just going to take a minute or two for yourself and just relax and check in with your body. Allow the weight of gravity to pull you down to the surface that you're laying on. Allow yourself to be comfortable. If you need to put pillows underneath your knees, underneath your head, anything to take away pain, do that. You know, rule number one, always be kind to yourself. Don't put yourself in any pain throughout any of the activities that we're doing today. Feel the muscles melt away, the tension melt away, and take a sense of where parts of your spine easily touch the surface and where parts of your spine rise up off of the surface. So we're just going to take a little walk and we're going to feel the space underneath the knees, and we'll walk in our minds up the backs of the thighs. Feel where we make contact. Our mind will walk to the pelvis and feel how heavily it makes contact and where. Some people make a lot of contact with the lower part of the tailbone, which makes the low back rise up. Other people tuck under and make more contact with the waistline or the belt line, and their back falls flatter. Wherever you are, that's okay. Don't make changes. Just get a sense of where you are. Feel the curve in your low back. The curve is natural, normal to have that curve. Does it feel accentuated? Do you feel like you could easily increase the curve or diminish that curve down? Or do you feel like you're close to an end range position? And walk up that curve and feel where there's less pressure, and then inevitably as you walk up your back there'll be more pressure. And feel where there's a lot of pressure, usually in the mid-back area, and feel what parts of that mid-back really easily fall back to the table or to the floor, and what parts of the spine are a little bit more reluctant. And as you work your way up towards your neck, you'll find that there's another natural curve in the neck where you don't have contact. And then feel the weight of your head and how heavy your head is into the surface. Beautiful. Now that we've taken a few seconds to calm ourselves and be easy, we're going to get right into it. So you're going to bend your knees, feet about hip width apart, comfortable, and you can feel just by the act of bending the knees, it rotates the pelvis back and it allows the back to fall a little bit flatter to the surface. Now what I want you to do is you're going to press gently through your heels just so that your pelvis tips backwards towards your head, and then release. And I want you to think about the very lowest vertebra of your spine, and as you tip the pelvis backwards, are you able to make contact with that lowest vertebra of the spine? Very often that's an area that's reluctant to find the surface, and so people maintain a little bit of extension and they just move into a higher area of the spine, never really pressing down through that low spine. So I want you to see, can you just, with the slightest bit, it doesn't take a lot of force, it's just an accurate movement, a very precise movement. Can you find a way to put a little pressure through your heels and relax your ribs and abdomen to put the lowest part of your low back into the floor? And if you can do it, great. And if you can't do it, that's okay. Just feel for the ability to try. And then release. And now we're going to go from that lowest vertebra to the second lowest vertebra. And feel, does that press? How easily? And then the third lowest vertebra, and feel how easily does that press? For me, much simpler as we go to the third or fourth lowest than from the very lowest. So see what's easy or difficult for you and release. When you release, feel how the spine releases from the surface. And then again, press through the heels, soften the breath, soften the ribs, maybe even engage the belly a little bit. Feel that lowest segment touch. And then the next vertebra, and the next vertebra, and the next one. And as you go one by one, you'll feel your pelvis rolls back and then starts to rise up off of the surface a little bit. And then you're going to gently roll back down, feeling each vertebra one by one make its way down to the surface, not jumping over, not getting quick to get down to that tailbone, but feeling that you can explore every single vertebra as you go through and along, and then release. And on the next rep, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to work our way a little bit higher, but always making sure that we start with that lowest one. Just because we're going to move higher doesn't mean we forget the beginning. And then we go to each vertebra one by one, and we allow the pelvis to roll up slowly until the low back eventually gets lifted, and we're pressing into the mid back, and then pressing into the ribs and feeling for the ability of the foundation of the surface to change. And then we're going to roll back, each vertebra finding the floor before the one below it. So in sequence, one by one, moving as we go. Make sure that when you lift, you're not lifting through the belly and you're not arching the back, but we're keeping that flat back as we lift. So we find that lowest point in the spine, and then the next vertebra, and the next vertebra, and we never arch, we never lift, but we're always rolling back, finding each vertebra one by one. And we're going to go up as high as you feel like you can go comfortably until you feel that you're almost pressing through the shoulder blades, or almost the base of the neck, if you can. And then we're going to roll down one by one the same way, slow and easy. Sometimes people get a cramp in the hamstrings when they try to do this, behind the thighs. If that's happening to you, then you're inadvertently arching or lifting from the belly and not allowing the back to be rounded as it's lifted. When we lift from the belly and arch the back, it makes the hamstrings work very hard. We'll try that one more time. Slowly find that first vertebra, initiating. Feel the lower abdomen draw in a little bit. Feel the pelvis tip back, pushing through the heels. Slowly finding each vertebra one by one, moving, letting each one take its turn, being your base, being your foundation, as you slowly lift and making your way all the way up until, let's see where you can go. Can you go to the shoulder blades? Can you go beyond the shoulder blades? Almost to the base of the neck. And if you get to the base of the neck, you stop. You might even feel an opening in the front of the hips. Some people feel that as they go, and that's okay.
Hold yourself there, and then slowly, each vertebra one by one, allowing each vertebra to take its turn as your base, always the one above it, preceding the one below it, and walking down the spine one by one, nice and easy, until we get to that lowest part of your spine. Feel that contact, and then relax and release. Very nice. We can take a minute to straighten out the legs and just relax into the surface, and feel just from that one simple exercise, that one simple movement, feel if you feel any more connected into the surface. I certainly feel that my back, low back, is flatter, less arch, less tension, and that's fantastic. All right, now from there we did bottom up. We're gonna work top down a little bit. So we're gonna bend the knees again, same manner that we had it before. We're gonna interlace the fingers behind the head. And so the head is just resting on the back of the hands. We're gonna point the elbows toward the ceiling, and we're gonna curl up little by little, again, making each vertebra one by one the base, so we can curl up one by one so that the chest lifts and that we go towards the hips. And then we're gonna release one by one as we come down slowly, feeling that we're letting each vertebra take its turn to the base before the head rests along the surface. Okay, this isn't sit-ups, okay? This isn't boot camp. We're not curling up and working super hard there. We're just taking it slow, and we're holding the hands, and we're finding the base of the neck, and then pressing down, and then slowly, easily curling from the top, feeling each vertebra come through until you feel like you're at your natural end point without working super hard, wherever you can get to, one by one. You might feel as you get to the lower part of the spine that the pelvis starts to tip a little bit, and that's okay. And then you're going to release your way back down, nice and slow, vertebra by vertebra, rolling back, or almost thinking about letting each vertebra fall downward, backward to the floor on the one below it. So one is the base, and then you let the next one fall all the way back down to the floor, to the surface, and relax. We're going to take that one more time. Elbows pointing up to the ceiling. Feel that you can almost tuck your chin or lengthen the back of your neck a little bit to get that lowest vertebra touching. And then we want to find the next one and the next, feeling that each bone gets to take its turn, take its chance as your base, and is able to push into the surface to bring you up. And as you come upward further, the next one below it has to be the new base. And then when you get to the point, don't work so hard that you can't breathe or move. Wherever it is, that's fine. And slowly find your way back, each vertebra one by one. Relaxing, releasing through, trying not to hinge at a single point, but being fluid and easy through each segment of the vertebra. Okay, now we're going to do the bottom and the top together. Okay, so we're going to roll the neck down, elongate the back of the neck, find each vertebra one by one. At the same time, you're going to lift the pelvis. That lowest vertebra is going to touch, and then you're going to feel that there's a point where the bottom up meets the top down. You're at one singular point, and then you're going to release back down from the middle to the top and from the middle to the bottom. And relax. Good, we're going to try that again. Top down, bottom up, until they meet in the middle. Find the lowest segment of the low back to press each vertebra one by one. Find the segments in the neck, and then the mid back and upper back, until suddenly you're on almost one segment. And now we're going to keep the head up and just drop the back down and see how that can bring you up a little further. And then you're gonna lift the pelvis up and see that that can bring the head down. And we're just gonna kind of rock back and forth. So we're rolling every segment of the spine into the floor by alternately lifting the pelvis and dropping the head, and then lifting the head and dropping the pelvis, and feeling that you can get this little, almost rocking movement to connect head and pelvis together. And then we're going to relax and release, let everything go. Straighten out the legs, arms at your side. Feeling how sunken into the floor you can feel at the spine. Okay, excellent. From here, we're gonna bend the knees again, same thing. Now what we're gonna do is, we're gonna search for not the center of the spine, but we're gonna search for the very left edge of the spine. So we're gonna see if we can, instead of pressing the center of the spine down, let the knees tilt a little bit to the left, and as we go from bottom up, can we move from to the left kind of edge of the vertebra, so off of the kind of center, that bony part in the center, to the edge. And then as we get past the low back, see if you can get into almost where the ribs meet the spine on the side. And then we're gonna come back down one by one and relax. So we're seeing if we can explore just off center and seeing if we can find nice connection with the surface at every point. Take it slow and really see, is there a point that you are reluctant to put down into the surface? If so, that is an area worthy of exploration, because that's an area where you can learn to move differently, and that's an area that is an opportunity to have you move more comfortably, more freely. The more opportunities we have to move, the more versatile our movement vocabulary is, the more resilient we are, and the more comfortable we are. So feel that you start to roll the pelvis back by pressing through the heels. Let the knees tip a little bit to the left, and feel that that can skew you onto the left side of your spine and even into the ribs. And slowly lift all the way up along that outside, but not by lifting from the belly, by tucking the tail. Almost think of your thighs elongating forward over your knees in a way that lifts the body up and puts you on that left side. And then find each one by one, finding each vertebra taking its turn to be your base as you come back down. Nice. And slowly, nice, easily resting as you need to, and always taking at least one breath between each repetition so you could let the tension go. Let's try to do the same thing on the left side from the top down. So we're going to interlace the fingers behind the head, but this time, instead of interlacing them like you did before, let's interlace them in the opposite. So if you had the left thumb on top, this time you're going to have the right thumb on top, just to do something a little bit different for your brain. You're going to bring your elbows up to the ceiling. You're going to let them just tip a little bit to the left, and you're going to curl looking to the left and see, can we bring that left lowest part of the neck, highest part of the back down into the table to help lift your head up. Again, not boot camp, not sit-ups, wherever your natural endpoint is, that's where you finish. And then nice and slowly bring it down vertebra by vertebra, one by one, until you're back to the table, and then you rest. Try that again, elbows up, tuck your head, look down towards your belly button with your eyes, feel that you can press the highest part of your back down. See if you can find a new area to press through, and don't just jump to that mid-back, that's area easier to find. One by one as you come up, and slowly find your way back down, searching for each vertebra as you go. This left side is a little tricky for me. I want to jump right into those mid ribs right here. I got to really explore my upper ribs, so I'm going to take one more repetition to see if I can find that. I'm going to elbows up to the ceiling and then point them to the left, eyes looking to the left. And let me see, maybe I can bend myself a little bit differently. Curl, look in, chin into chest. So I can find that upper, there we go, through the ribs into the natural endpoint. And then slowly roll my way back down. Very good. And now we're going to combine upper and lower together. So knees to the left and elbows to the left, and see, can we roll from the bottom up and top down together into that side of the ribs and into that side of the spine, and then slowly bring it back down one by one. Remember, not arching the back, not tensing the back muscles, only using your butt muscles and your abdominals to lift you up. And rolling through the side and then return. We'll do that one more time. Slowly tilt the pelvis backwards, bring the head down, find each part of your spine compressing into the floor, and then release. And then come back, straighten out the legs, relax your arms, and just feel that contact, that whole left side of your body, how it feels a little bit dropped into the surface. Maybe your hip feels a little bit more open. Maybe your left leg feels even a little bit longer than the right, because we've been practicing contact with that left side. Fantastic. All right, that feels good. I want to do the same thing for my right side, so we're going to bend both knees. And we're going to let the knees, the feet be about hip width apart. We're going to let the knees fall a little bit to the right, and we can even let the head tilt a little bit to the right, and we're just going to push through the heels to roll the pelvis to look for just the right side of the lowest part of the spine as it rolls its way up, and see, can we find contact, easy contact through each segment of the spine to the ribs. And then find your natural endpoint, and then find your way back down, moving segmentally, always from top to bottom on the return, making sure that your pelvis and your tailbone are the last things to touch. Everything touches the surface before it. And we're going to push through the heels, roll the pelvis back, feel that roll through the side of the spine. And we're going to take it, if you can, a little bit higher, feeling that the thighs are elongating over the knees. If you can, getting into that mid-back, into the ribs, but without arching, without pushing to lift, making sure we're going each segment one by one, and then dropping down. Wherever your body takes you, that's where you go. Okay, work within yourself. Don't try to copy anybody. Don't try to emulate me, that's for sure. Okay? Let your knees fall off to the side, roll your pelvis back, and explore yourself. This is a self-exploration exercise. Where can you find easy contact with the surface? And where is it difficult? Where do you want to jump? Where do you want to just hop over and go to the next segment? Wherever that is, take some time and tease it a little bit. Go back and forth over that area slowly and gently, and see, why doesn't that area want to find the surface, and then go past it, and then go beyond, and see, can you make your way up into the right ribs, up into the right torso, even up into the right shoulder blade maybe. And then as you come down, making sure you don't just drop down, that you roll through each segment, get each part of the ribs down to the surface, all the way through, and then relax. Whew. That's good enough for me. I'm just going to take a second, straighten out the legs, and just enjoy that new contact, that feeling of the right side into the surface. I'm going to bend the knees again. I'm going to interlace the fingers behind the head. I'm going to let the elbows now point to the right, and I'm going to see, can I curl up on the right side using different area, not the center of the spine, but the right side of the spine, right where the ribs connect into it. Can I press each rib one by one into the surface, and each rib one by one to allow me back down? And can I find not just those middle ribs, but they're very difficult to find upper ribs and even upper shoulder blade area. If you allow your eyeballs to kind of look down your nose or look down your chin, it makes it a little bit easier to figure out how to find the upper spine as you work your way up to whatever your natural endpoint is, and then find your way back down nice and slow and easy. And rest at the bottom, give yourself a breath. And now you might find that if you give a little press with your heels, it makes it a little bit easier to find that upper back, upper ribs area, because the pelvis is now lifting to almost help you meet those ribs as you come up and through. And then working your way back down. Nice and easy, and then relax. Good, now we're gonna combine bottom up and top down together. So knees to the right, elbows to the right, and feel the pelvis lift as the head lifts, and that you're rolling through each lower vertebra as you roll through each upper vertebra and meet in the middle. And then finding your way back down nice and slowly, one by one. Top down, bottom up, same time. Take a rest in the middle, take a breath. And take it again with my eyes. I'm going to look down my chin. I'm going to roll the pelvis up. I'm going to roll the back down, finding each segment of my ribs and my low back to come together. And then we're going to find our way back down and relax and lay flat and enjoy the fruits of our labors here. Sink down into the surface and feel how connected you are into the surface. Feel how elongated you are through your spine. Feel how open your legs are. Feel the length of the legs. Feel the distance from heels to crown as we've now found a way to find contact through each side of the body. All right, now we're gonna have a little fun. Let's see how coordinated we are here. We're gonna bend the knees and we're gonna interlace the fingers underneath the head. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can zigzag our way up, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the right side of the lowest part of the low back, and then the left side of the second lowest part, and then the right side of the third lowest part, and you're just gonna serpentine your way up and down your spine. This is just to try something tricky and difficult. Don't worry if it's challenging for you. So I'm gonna push my right side, the lowest part of the low back down, and then I'm gonna transition to my left, second lowest, and then my right, third lowest. I'm slowly working my way up my spine, zigzag, side to side. This is a bit of a novelty type of exercise where it's almost impossible to do perfectly, and that's kind of the point where we're just exploring new and interesting ways to move. I promise none of you have ever tried to move like this before. And let's find our way back down in that same zigzag fashion. So we're giving our brain and our body a new problem to figure out, a new way to move, a new way to settle in to the floor, and anytime we can do something new, that is good. All right, so last time I started with the right lowest part, now I'm gonna start with the left, so my left lowest part of the spine, and then I'm gonna transition to the right second lowest if I can, and then whatever feels like the next segment on the left, and the next segment on the right, and I'm just gonna see if I can make my way through each vertebra one by one, exploring the left, the center, and then the right, and then the center, and then the left, one by one, all the way up into my thorax. And then I'll wiggle waggle my way back down. One by one, each vertebra taking its chance, taking its turn to be the base, not collapsing down, not just letting my pelvis down, being very patient, giving those low vertebrae a chance to be my foundation. Whew, and relax. Okay, we did that bottom up. Now it's time to do that top down. So we're gonna interlace the elbows. Let's start with the right again. So I'm gonna tip my elbows to the right, find the lowest part I can find, and I'm gonna go from the right. Good, and then see if I can make my way to the left. And then make my way to the right. And I'm just exploring different places until I'm at my natural endpoint. I'm not trying to do sit-ups here. I just want to see if I can connect to all the different pieces of my spine. There is no failure in this. If you're trying, if you're doing this, you're succeeding, because your brain is doing something new, and it's the novelty that's important, not the end result, okay? Not what it looks like. One more time. This time I'm going to start with the left and find my left side. Good. And then I'm going to really take my time. And what does it feel like to get over to the right side? And I'm going to feel how my feet can help me. And then over to the left and over to the right. And then I'll come back to the left. Sometimes I find that maybe I wasn't so good on the way up, that I can explore being even a little bit more connected on the way down. My left side is not as inclined to find the surface as my right, but that's okay. Okay, now we're gonna see if we can do top and bottom together, okay? And so we're gonna go start knees up, elbows up, and we're gonna find both the highest and lowest part on the right, and then the next on the left, and then swinging through the right, and then swinging through the left until you're at the center, and then find the next one going down, and going down, zigzagging your way from the center up and the center down, each part of the spine, and come down and relax. Okay, and we're gonna let the arms come down, let the back come down. Relax, catch your breath, rest. Feel how lovely and open the body is. Feel that nice connection into the surface. Feel the relaxation through your back muscles. Good. If you want to take some more time exploring that, you can. If not, you're just going to roll on to your left and you're going to sit up. Nice and easy. And I'm just going to sit, but you are welcome to stand. And when you stand, or whether you're sitting, I want you to feel the alignment with your head over your surface. For me, it's your seat. If you're standing, it'll be your heels. I want you to feel how easily and how comfortably your body finds upright. How open you feel to the world in front of you. How easily it is to maintain a nice elongated spine and elongated posture. Walk around your apartment a little bit and feel how balanced you feel over your feet. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that session with me. Thank yourselves for taking out the time to do something good for yourself. It's so important. I'm Dr. David Sofer, physical therapist. This is Arthritis Help. Join me again next week for a movement improvement session where you will learn to move differently so you can feel better. Have a great week, everyone.